Welcome back. How do I show my outfit? Today's video is about this, my hair. Well, that and going through a bit of an identity crisis. So, big change. I need like big change, and I think like for some reason like the human condition, like hair plays a big part in that. So, I just thought I'd take you guys with me and show you what I'm doing. But basically, this is how like my hair looks like down. Oh, like it's quite long. It's layered. Well, the cut I got was layered when I originally got it, and it's very it's very standard, I think, for like a long hair. Like it's like wolf cut, I think that's what they call it, but like pretty standard cut. Yeah, it just looks like this. And I really want to change it. I want to get short hair. I like to push my hair back, but that's only because I don't like hair in my eyes. So I would like to get it like cut like here. Just so it like, because I actually don't like showing my forehead, but I only do it because I hate hair in my eye. And I have like I have round cheeks. So, well, I feel like my face shape is quite round. So like, when I have like hair like that goes like out like that, I don't think it looks good. But the good thing about long hair is that it kind of makes it more vertical, so it reduces the roundness. So what I really want to do is kind of keep some of that length, but like chop it here, but mainly get rid of this. So my plan was I was gonna ask for an undercut, a taper fade, but then like keep a lot of the length, like chop it like here. Or like taper it like down towards the back, kind of like a mullet, or like the Beatles cut. Yeah, like just like think of like old Beatles cut, or like old like that kind of style in that realm, I guess. So that's the kind of look I want to go for. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Peace. Had lunch, so now I'm gonna get my hair cut. I'm in Crow's Nest right now, so this is what Crow's Nest looks like. Well, just a quick update of what I'm doing today as well. I just got my haircut, so now I'm going to go to the supermarket and pick up some food for dinner, or ingredients for dinner. Excuse me. And so, it's a beautiful sunny day, and so I feel invigorated and inspired, so I decided to, record this. What do you guys think? I don't know. I like it. I really like it. It's very different. And I think that's the idea that I kind of wanted. That's kind of what I want to talk to you guys. That's what I want to talk to you guys about today as well. It's kind of just self-identity, and kind of the identity of the channel, really, because it's kind of turning into like this kind of self-help, mental health kind of ranty thingy now. But I do want to, I think the kind of path I want to take is like kind of how this kind of relates to fashion, and how I think fashion as an art form or any art form really, is a way of self-expression, and self-expression is something necessary to sate the mind, and to sate or stave off mental fluctuations, really. It's a way to vent, it's a way to speak your mind. It's a way to kind of express yourself, and I think that's really important. And that's, my car just turned off, and that's why I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about fashion because for me, I'm someone that struggles a lot with mental health, in the sense that I can't really talk about it, and I think that's a problem. Like I'm the kind of person that kind of just like holds it all in until I explode. And I've always thought of myself as someone that's pretty good at that, and I don't think that's true, and that's kind of why I'm having this whole identity crisis. And I think that's where the whole idea of cutting off your hair kind of comes from. Prior to this, like, I kind of see myself in the mirror, and I kind of like, or I see myself in my own head, and I kind of have an idea of what that is, like, physically. Like, this idea of me with longer hair, and that was me then. But up until a week ago, I've kind of had like a big mental shift, and seeing who I was or who I am now with that same kind of haircut, it doesn't feel like it's me, if that makes any sense. And so it's kind of like having a fresh start. And I think having sometimes people do need fresh starts, and it doesn't have to be a completely fresh start, but I think it's kind of cutting your hair is kind of an allegory or a simile to that. It's like, you feel like a new person. You feel, because it is something that is part of your body, and you are literally cutting it off. Just imagine, like, if humans were like, they grew extra arms, and then every couple of years you just chop them off. It's kind of like that, like it seems kind of insane that you cut off your own body parts, but that's basically what it feels like for me. Like, it feels like I am a new person, in a sense, or not a new person, but a fresh start. And I think it's healthy if you see yourself in a position where you kind of do want to have a fresh start. I am all for it, and I think you should go for it. I think that's what I want this channel to be about as well, just something positive, and not in the, I'm trying not to do it in the kind of Winnie the Pooh 100 Acre Woods kind of false positivity, or like, not to put politics into it, but like a alt left or like extremely kind of censorship kind of way, like forced positivity. That's not what I'm trying to do. I think what I want to do is kind of give a bit of a balance to the imbalance I see in the world, and try to put positivity in as a countermeasure, because realistically I think there is a lot of bad, but like they say, like, out of the 100 likes, the one dislike is what people focus on the most. And I'm trying to shift the perception on that, because I think it's a social problem, and I would like to be the difference I see in the world. And instead of just complaining and saying how shit I think everything is, I want to start fresh and kind of, do something about it. Like, actually do something about it. And this is an extremely small channel, and people are like, people talk about like platforms and stuff like that. And I don't think you need a massive platform to kind of preach or like have an impact on the world, because yes, having massive platforms create massive shifts, but there is a macro level to everything. And that's kind of how politics work. That's why they have the head, the state, and then the fucking whatever the fuck. I don't know politics, but that's kind of how like general society works. And I want to try doing it at the macro level, because I think it is important, and there can only be good that comes from it, I think. Even if the conversations are like primarily bad, I think at least having a conversation about it is important. And that is why I'm not someone that's too big into censorship, and I am someone that's into debating in a very meaningful and mature way. I don't want to have any screaming matches with people about who's right and who's wrong. I just want people to be open to different ideas and to take everything with a pinch of salt, but at the end of the day, to trust themselves and who they are. I think part 2 of this kind of rant, to try and make things more cohesive, because I'm not very cohesive, is I want to talk strictly about identity and self-identity and kind of what that means to me, at least. And so I think for me, like, self-identity is something that is very complicated, much like the human psyche, but it's not something that, I don't think it is something that's like digestible, but I think it's something that we kind of mull over for the rest of our lives. So I think it's a good idea to kind of discuss it with other people. So without further ado, I say that a lot, and I think it's because I have difficulty trying to cohesively talk about a point from start to finish. So sorry about that. But like I mentioned earlier, I feel like I had an image of who I was, and when you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't see that same person, or you become kind of directionless or unsure of who you are as a person, whether that means core values, physical looks, political stance, how you feel within your culture or society. There's many aspects to self-identity. And so I kind of just want to talk about it in the more general sense of whether or not, like, all these things can be different for everybody, but the idea of self-identity is the fact that we are sure of where we stand on all these things. And when you're unsure of where you stand on these things, you kind of become unsure and you question everything about yourself. It's kind of like a domino effect. Well, at least that's how I personally experienced this. And so I just kind of want to talk about it in my own personal sense and my own kind of journey. I think our perception of other people in the world is that everybody is a somebody except for you. And that's the kind of mental state that I was in, or still am in. I do feel like a nobody, and it's tough for me to accept. But I don't think it's a bad thing. And the change that I want to see in the world is that people that feel like I do are just as valid, just as important, and should be just as respected as anyone else in this world. I find myself to be very introverted, and I don't really push my opinions onto other people. And as a consequence, I think people like me do get taken advantage of, and we do get sidelined. And in that kind of mindset, I don't have a problem with it. But the hypocrisy of it is that I really do. Deep down, I really do. I get frustrated, I get mad, and I feel invisible, and I feel like my efforts aren't recognized to their full potential. And I do see that with other people, in the context of fashion brands, creatives. I think there's a lot of understated, underrated, and sidelined artists that really do deserve a spotlight, a platform, and to be respected. My understanding of it is that self-identity is kind of like metamorphosis, breaking out of a cocoon, or shedding old skin. It's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. And I think the idea of it is slowly you are pulling out your true self in every molt, in every shed, in every change. And I think that old idea of who we are, the frustrations that we have, kind of add to this whole cycle. So I think in a sense that frustration does bring about change. And I think that's why people are very heated politically, because they do want to see change and they do want to see what they believe is right. And I think the system is set up in a way where unless you are truly frustrated, you are truly mad, and you truly want change, then you have to do it yourself because no one else will. And I think that drive comes from the frustration in this system and the way that it's set up. I think this topic can be very meta. I think that can overcomplicate things. And I think so in a generally bad sense, because I think it's the more meta we get into things, the more inaction happens. And I think the point I want to make is to have a call to action. And if you think too meta about things, you kind of freeze in thought, and instead of living life, all we do is start thinking about living life. And I think that's my main problem with philosophy. As I said, I'm getting groceries. I am in St. Leonard's right now. It's a train station in Sydney. I think you can see that orange tea over there. Depending on where you live in Sydney, the suburbs are very different, much like the rest of the world. But in the North Shore, it is more of there's a reputation of being more fancy, more upper class, or upper middle class. But yeah, Australia is very nice. There's a lot of trees, very alien looking trees around here. Australia is very alien as a landmass in flora and fauna, but I think it is extremely beautiful, and I do love living here. So yeah.